Putin's airfields are burning, protests are heating up in the USA, and Elon Musk's debt is disgrace in Moscow. This and other topics we will discuss right now. My name is Irina Uzlova, and today with us is Mykhailo Sheitelman, political strategist. Michael, hello, glad to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Irina.
The Ukrainian prisoners returned home, but before that, we know Russia deliberately unleashed a whole campaign of manipulation and blackmail. Why does Putin want to destroy even this single positive result of the agreements in Istanbul? Is he showing that he doesn't need any negotiations at all?
First of all, they want to dictate their rules. The problem what have been yesterday, it was that the location of the exchange of prisoners have not been agreed upon. And Russians, they just said, well, we brought the prisoners to here, to this place, just come here and let's exchange. And the same they did with dead bodies of dead soldiers. They also brought some bodies to some place inside the Russian Federation and said to our side, let's go to here and let's exchange them. But this is not the international procedure, obviously. The international procedure, first of all, it needs the identification also of prisoners and the same of dead bodies. For example, Russians, they said that they are ready to release 5,000 of dead bodies of Ukrainian soldiers. But President Zelensky, president of Ukraine, said that only about a quarter of these bodies identified as really Ukrainian soldiers. So we don't know what exactly these other bodies are. Like Hamas, for example, as a terroristic organization, then they released some bodies to Israel. It was bodies of unidentified persons, people. So the same could be the idea of Russians to send us some bodies of nobody know whom. Yeah, and Ukraine was absolutely right. Then Ukraine refused to make this exchange in these circumstances and in these conditions, because it is very dangerous. It is very dangerous for alive people, for the prisoners themselves. We don't know if the Russian could open fire, for example. Then before, if the area, the location is not secured before, and if there is no international organization there, like Red Cross or somebody else, so Russians could make the trap inside in this place and could kill our delegation. And we know that. We know it from the previous experience. You remember when they sent our prisoners by plane and the plane was shut down because nobody knew that this is the plane with prisoners. Russians held it in the secret, this information. So only today, both sides agreed about the location and about the rules. And I believe, I don't know, I don't have any facts, but I believe also some international organizations who were some helpers of this process. So the process was done.
Our Minister of Defense, Rustem Umerov, promises that next levels of this exchange will be seen for next days. But, Michael, considering such insane Putin's behavior, do you believe in future negotiations in Istanbul? Or maybe that negotiations on June was the last?
I can't say if there will be another meetings. In theory, why not? But looking at practical results, as a result of this negotiation, we could see only this prisoners exchange and bodies exchange. That's everything. That's just everything. But this process was also before. It existed also before the Istanbul process. During all the war, during 3 years, there were dozens of exchange of prisoners, dozens. And in each exchange, it was hundreds of people, hundreds of soldiers, of prisoners from both sides. So it is nothing new comparing to previous situation. And the idea of negotiation of Istanbul, it was idea by Mr. Putin, by the way, but the idea was about political negotiation, not the military negotiation about some exchange, not the humanitarian questions, but about the political decision and maybe about stopping the war or about ceasefire. And in these points, we didn't move forward, just no one pace forward, because both sides presented their positions, both sides presented their memorandums, and Russians, for example, they refused to discuss Ukrainian memorandum. Our Minister of, not Minister, Deputy of Minister of Foreign Affairs said, we asked in the last meeting, what do you think about our memorandum? And they just kept silence. They didn't know what to say. And this memorandum, Ukrainian memorandum, was written exactly according to international laws. And the same situation with Russian memorandum, I believe, because Ukraine doesn't have anything to say about Russian memorandum, because it contradicts with international law, and Ukraine is not ready to contradict with international law. So I don't see next practical step, next practical negotiation. But all of this negotiation, Mr. Putin needs them to spend the time, and President Trump needs it for I don't know what reason exactly. So he believes that the just the fact of negotiation it is somehow important to him. I don't know exactly. So next round could take place if President Trump will be still interested to spend the time of our delegation, to spend the time of Ukraine, and to continue the war. And it looks like Mr. Trump is interested that the war will be continued.
Less words, more deals. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, on interview ABC News, called on Donald Trump to show himself as a powerful leader of the civilized world and impose sanctions against Russia, because only American sanctions, according to our president, will be the strongest. Why does Trump continue to delay the issue of imposing sanctions against Russia?
Well, that is $1 million question, really. Because nobody in the world knows the exact answer of this question. We could bring a lot of different versions, and but each one of them is very, very, very old version, which was not went through the new circumstances. For example, the first version why President Trump doesn't want to expand the sanctions against Russian Federation. The very first version was that President Trump wanted to organize the union with Russian Federation, some agreement or something, against China, to take the Russia as ally against China. That was the first version of the views of Mr. President Trump. But, for example, in today's New York Times, then there's a very, very long read about Russia-China relationships. And inside of this long read, journalists who are obviously some specialized in about China, yeah, they say something like that. We thought that President Trump wanted to make Russia American ally against China, but now it is obvious that Mr. Putin is not agreeing, that Mr. Putin does not want to hear the reports from Russian intelligence service, which says that China is built the network of spies inside the Russian Federation, for example. So it is obvious to everybody that this goal is just ungettable. But what is the next? What is the next reason of Mr. Trump? This is very difficult to say. What could be the next goal? Maybe they want Mr. Trump, President Trump believes that America could earn a lot of money from business with Russian Federation. He said that a couple of times that he wants a big business with Russia. He sent Mr. Witkov, who is mostly businessman and obviously not diplomat, not politician, and not military guy, to discuss the potential business deals with Russian Federation. All the advisors, I heard the advisors of Mr. Trump, they said him that there is no perspective of any prospects of business between America and Russian Federation, because Russian Federation is very small economy and very small country, and this is rather senseless from the financial point of view. And it is very also in the another half of the world, yeah, it contains another half of the globe. But maybe he still believes that I mean, not he personally, but he is a president of United States, could bring good deals to American companies who will do the business with Russian Federation. From our point of view, it looks like a big mistake because American companies, they don't want to make deals and they don't want to make a business inside the Russian Federation. They withdrew their business from Russian Federation. They closed their business in Russian Federation, like McDonald's, Coca-Cola, or you can count hundreds of companies who just closed their business in Russian Federation. They were not under sanctions. This is not because of law or because of sanctions, just because it is a very bad idea to do business with Russia now. Then Russia is the killer, then Russia is terrorist state, and it is just influence to your company, negatively influence to the, for example, to the market cap of your company. So this is also very strange reason, let's say. What are another reasons by Mr. Trump? I just don't know.
About another sanctions by our armed forces. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine reported on the destruction of the Savaslayka airfield, from which Russian MiG-31K constantly took off, which were a nightmare for Ukraine. In Cheboksary, the Armed Forces of Ukraine bombed the Progress plant. In Kazan, there were explosions all night. Russian airports were closed again. How can we assess the level of power of the return of the war on the territory of the Russian Federation? How great are the losses, both military, economic and political, of Russian Federation?
It is good, but not enough. Last night, for example, Ukraine used somewhere about 70 heavy drones against Russian territory. But we had the better nights, I believe, than we sent more than 500 drones to Russian territory. And this is obviously more effective. Today, yes, today we have a good result. 2 military planes in Sevastopol, Nizhny Novgorod region, Nizhny Novgorod region. And this military plant, which produced some tools for drones and for missiles. This is also a very good result because there were huge explosion, huge secondary explosion in this place, yes. But as President Zelensky said, we need at least 500 drones per day to destroy Russian economy. This is very good way to destroy really Russian economy. But we need just more drones, This is just mathematics, not anything else, not any very difficult problem. But with more drones, we could absolutely stop plane connections between Russian cities. And the connections between Russian cities built very by centristic way. For flying from Siberia to Ural, for example, you should fly first of all from Siberia to Moscow and afterwards from Moscow to Ural. That works like that in Russian Federation. So when you close only Moscow airports, and they have 4 airports in Moscow, when you close four airports by the drone attacks, so you just make Russian economy stopping and all the logistics is stop. This is very important. And we had a good success, very good success in this during weeks at the beginning of May, for example, when we had really hundreds of drones per day. But to continue with hundreds of drones per day, we need more money, and we have a calculation also by President Zelensky that we need about $30 billion per year for these drones. And we have all the production facilities, we have everything. We just need the materials because each drone is huge thing. It is like the small plane. This is like a small plane, yeah. And we need to produce 500 small planes per day. Just imagine. This is the huge production. Nobody has it in the world. But this is realistic, and this could bring the victory to Ukraine and absolute collapse to Russian economy.
Great results and a very bad future for Russian Federation. Putin is calling a Security Council meeting this week. Can the issues of mobilization, for example, or illegal annexation of our next territories, Kharkiv or Dnipropetrovsk regions, be brought up there? How do you think?
No, it doesn't look, because there is no signs of that. I don't see any signs of some changes in Russian policy about Ukraine, and they have a plan for this summer, and this is very open plan. They have also the plan of war to this year, and it was declared. This is not some secret plans. It was declared on the meeting of Ministry of Defense with Mr. Putin in December last year, that the military goals of Russian army this year is to capture 4 regions: Donetsk, Lugansk, Zaporizhia, and Kherson regions. And this is the goal which Defense Minister Mr. Belousov promised to Mr. Putin that it will be captured till the end of the year. But they still, till now, we are not close to this, absolutely not close to this. To capture this territory, Russians should capture about 30,000 square kilometers, 30,000 square kilometers. But from the beginning of the year, they heavily captured 1,000 square kilometers in half a year. So we have second half a year. And another goal, or military goal, is to build, how they called it, like security strip along the border between Russia and Ukraine and Kharkiv district and Sumy district, but also we are very, very far away from this goal, because Ukraine captured part of Russian territory in Belgorod and in Kursk regions. So I believe all the meetings of Mr. Putin now is just working meetings. I mean, connecting to Ukraine is just working meetings about what is the progress they have on the battlefield. That is the question. We could see, for example, that last week they don't have any progress, just any, in the battlefield. So this is the reason to meet with ministers and with commanders of their army, his army, or Mr. Putin, I mean.
About their summer plans, Putin's spokesman Dmitry Peskov is lying about the start of the creation of a buffer zone in Ukraine's Dnipropetrovsk region. What is the main purpose of this lie?
We want to present their army as the army who has victories on the battlefield and who has a success on battlefield. This is the reason. This is the reason why we think this is so important to come to some, especially to region, for example, to Dnipropetrovsk region. But when you are on the battlefield, you don't see any border between regions. This is the forest, this is the river, and this is the mountain. This is not this region or this region and this region. And the truth that Russians, they can't capture any cities. The last time they captured any city, it was about a year ago. Yeah. And in last year, they didn't capture any city of Ukraine. and we have thousands of cities, and we did not capture any cities. So all the war, it is just in field. I mean, in agriculture fields. That is happens in agriculture fields, not in mountains. They don't cross rivers. They don't capture cities. So we could move forward only in fields where you don't have anything just to stop them. That's it. And they want to present the army as this army who have a success, and it works. It works for Trump, for example, for other people who don't check the maps. But anybody who at least had any glance to the map could say that during last year, just nothing changed in front line. Just nothing. We didn't move almost nothing forward. Yeah, we captured some territory, but this is just empty territory, not the cities, not any other objects. That is important point. And for example, Senator Graham, who was the guest of Kyiv in 10 days ago, he said that openly, that this is just mythology, that Russians move forward and they win in a war. They just couldn't do anything. By the way, today also Prime Minister of Hungary, Mr. Orban, first in his history said that Russian army is not serious. Russian army is not the threat to Europe because they couldn't win Ukraine.
Yes.
So this is not some really danger army for Europe. And this is Mr. Orban, who is a friend of Mr. Putin, saying that.
Yes.
So all of this Russian propaganda, it works only for very lazy people who can't just look at the map at least.
Yes, and Orban added that he knows that Russia cannot attack NATO countries and Europe. So
yeah, because they don't have, by last word of the last sentence of Mr. Orban was that Russia does not have the strong army for that. They don't win, at least they don't win the war against Ukraine in 3.5 years. So how they could come to NATO countries? Yeah, and by the way, when we know that Prime Minister Orban is always rather ally of Putin than civilized world, so we could think that his speeches is also part of Russian propaganda, and it means that Russians now, they play this like weak country, yeah? They play, why? They don't say, for example, last half a year, they never said that they will bomb Germany, Berlin, or London, or Paris, or Hague, like they said it previously, yeah, in previous years. But now we don't hear anything like that from Russian politicians. Why? Because they don't like that Europe consolidate their efforts and that Europe rebuild their armies. And Germany, for example, they are ready to build the strongest army in the Europe, like Chancellor Merz said. And Russians, they fear from that. They don't like that. They want Europeans to be rest in peace. I mean, to rest and not spend the money to military needs.
The US is covering the protest. Trump is using all his strength. To what extent can the protests in the US and Trump's confrontation with Musk distract the White House from the issue of the Russian-Ukrainian war? Because another topic is their internal questions. Okay, but how can it process influence on the attention to our war?
You know, all the story of Los Angeles and immigrants, it is not about our war, absolutely.
Yes.
And I don't see any connection here. Well, it is we can find some very small and weak connection, like, for example, this is the story of immigration. This is the strong side of President Trump, so maybe it make him more stronger president now and increase his rating, for example. But This is not very connected to Ukraine, to European issues. His conflict with Mr. Trump is important for us, yeah. It is difficult to say now what will be the consequences of this conflict, but this is very important. Elon Musk, he is the very good friend of Putin, and he is I would say he's rather Russian spy inside White House, and he always, during all of this war, he published a lot of materials in his private social network which support Russian Federation, in this war, which support the demands of Russian about Ukrainian territories. So he works absolutely as a Russian spy. I don't know what is the reason, but he works as a Russian agent inside White House. So this is very good news for Ukraine that Elon Musk left White House in bad relationship with President Trump. Also, we could remember that the first phone conversation between Trump and Zelensky, which took place in December, the first after the election, was in presence of Elon Musk. So Elon Musk wanted to take a part in this negotiation. It was not J.D. Vance, but Elon Musk and President Trump who had a conversation with Ukrainian President Zelensky. We didn't like that, obviously, that Russian agent is present on this conversation, but somehow they in White House, they decided to push Elon Musk, first of all, from this negotiation process, and now you see also from all the White House.
Yes, and now we see, like today, Musk's father is sitting near Ministry of Foreign Affairs, or maybe the main propagandist in Russian Federation, Sergei Lavrov, and praised Putin in Moscow and declared that the Russians were right. Can you imagine it? No, maybe you can, and I can now.
Yeah, okay. And this is this panel where the father of Elon Musk participated in Moscow. This is the forum which called something like Future of Human Civilization or something. And he participated in the discussion about the spies. I don't know what is connection between father of Elon Musk and spies. Father of Elon Musk, he is the not drug dealer, but the dealer of diamonds or something like that. So they invited him as the father of Elon Musk. And by the way, I checked the agenda of this forum, and in agenda they called him father of Elon Musk. This is an international forum, yeah, father of Elon Musk. And you mentioned only Sergei Lavrov as participant. Another participant is Dmitry Simons, something like that, who is the Russian spy in US. Officially, I mean, Russian spy in US. He was a political analyst in the United States, and he lived in the United States last 50 years or something like that. And he established publishing house National Interest in the United States, in English language, I mean. And he published some materials from Russian Federation there. And last year, FBI wanted to arrest him, but he flew to Russian Federation, and now he's a participant of this meeting together with father of Elon Musk. So that is a meeting of, like American clones, let's say, who worked for Russian Federation for the money. So obviously this is just paid visit by Russians to the Moscow. But the good sign that they can't buy anybody who has the real knowledge or real power in the United States or in United Kingdom. So they bring just clones for the huge money. We have huge money, but they don't have anybody volunteer. Nobody volunteered for the money to come to Moscow and to speak as a part of Russian propaganda.
Amazing things are near us. Michael, thank you very much for this conversation, for your opinion and for your clever thoughts. See you next week. Take care.
Thank you, Irina. Bye.
Mykhailo Sheitelman, political strategist. My name is Irina Uslova. Thank you guys for watching us. Take care. See you.